Welcome to Tell Me More Stories Told as podcast. Get ready because today we're diving into, well, a real culinary force.
That's right. We're peeling back the layers on Gordon Ramsay. Forget just the shouting on TV. There's a really compelling story there.
Absolutely. We're going beyond the sort of celebrity chef thing and really tracing his journey from, early days right up to global icon status. Expect some surprises.
Definitely. And one thing that always jumps out at me is that he wasn't always destined for the kitchen. Not at all.
You're talking about the football.
Exactly. His big dream early on was professional football. Seriously talented, too.
It's wild to picture him, isn't it? But then injury hit, and, well, that dream ended.
Yeah, but I think that competitive fire, that drive he must have had for football, it didn't just disappear. It sort of got channeled into cooking.
That makes a lot of sense. That intensity definitely comes across later.
It really does. Okay, so to really get it, let's rewind a bit. Back to the beginning.
Right. Gordon James Ramsay, born in Johnstone, Scotland, November 8th, 1966.
But they didn't stay in Scotland long. Moved to England when he was, what, 9?
Yeah, ended up in Stratford-upon-Avon. So, Scottish roots, but an English upbringing mostly.
And that upbringing sounds like it wasn't exactly smooth sailing. He's called it hopelessly itinerant.
Yeah, that suggests a lot of moving around, instability, linked to his father's work situation, apparently.
His dad did various jobs, pool manager, welder, shopkeeper. But Ramsay's also described him as struggling with alcohol, sometimes violent. A tough start.
Definitely paints a challenging picture. And his first taste of the food industry wasn't glamorous either.
No way. Bot washer. In an Indian restaurant where his sister worked.
Humble beginnings for a future 3-star Michelin chef.
You said it. But maybe, even then, he was soaking up the atmosphere, the pressure of a kitchen,
Could be. But before cooking really took hold, that football dream was serious.
Oh, very serious. Played under 14s at 12. Got a trial with Rangers, his team.
Wow, Rangers. That's huge for a young Scottish kid.
Absolutely. So imagine the heartbreak when injuries, particularly a knee injury, just stopped that career before it even really started.
Devastating, really. And around that time, 16, he moves out of the family home.
It seems like that injury, that setback, was a real turning point, forced him to look elsewhere.
And that elsewhere turned out to be hotel management. Kind of unexpected.
Totally. He enrolled at North Oxfordshire Technical College when he was 19. He even called it a complete accident.
Funny how things work out. So, not a lifelong passion for cooking from day one.
Not immediately, no. His first proper kitchen job was as a commis chef at the Roxton House Hotel. Then he ran the kitchen at the Wickham Arms.
Right, until some drama unfolded there, apparently involving the owner's wife.
Yeah, the story suggests something like that. Adds a bit of color to the early days.
So after that, he heads for London, works a few places, and then he meets Marco Pierre White.
Ah, yes, Harvey's. Working under White. That was a game changer.
For sure. White was, and is, a legend. Known for being brilliant, but also incredibly demanding.
Ramsay spent nearly 3 years there. You can imagine the intensity. Learning from one of the best, but under intense pressure.
Must have soaked it all up. But he knew he needed more, right? Specifically, French cuisine.
Exactly. He realized that to reach the top, he needed that classical French foundation. So off he went.
First stop, Le Gavroche, working for the legendary Albert Roux.
And that's where he met Jean-Claude Breton. Remember that name. He becomes important later.
Right. Then more training, even in the French Alps under Roux.
He was serious about mastering this. It wasn't just about recipes. It was the discipline, the technique, the whole philosophy of haute cuisine.
And the learning didn't stop there. Paris was next.
3 years in Paris, working under Guy Savoy and Joël Robuchon. I mean, these are giants of French cooking. Michelin stars everywhere.
Unbelievable training ground. You couldn't ask for better mentors.
No kidding. And even after that, he takes a year, does something different, becomes a personal chef on a private yacht.
The Idlewild. Sailing around Italy.
Yeah. Soaking up Italian food, culture, just constantly learning, expanding his repertoire. It shows incredible drive.
Absolutely. He wasn't just waiting for opportunities. He was hunting them down.
So by 1993, he comes back to London, and he's not just some promising chef anymore. He's ready.
And he lands a huge role head chef at Le Tante Claire. Already a 3 Michelin star place under Pierre Kaufmann.
Operating at the absolute peak. Then, Marco Pierre White pops up again.
Offers him head chef at a new place, backed by White's partners, initially called the Rossmore.
Right, but quickly renamed Aubergine. And this is where Ramsay really starts to make his own name.
Gets a Michelin star there super quick. Then a second one in '97.
Huge success. But Ramsay had his own vision. The backers apparently wanted to turn aubergine into a chain.
And Ramsay wasn't having it. He wanted his own restaurant, his own standards.
Exactly. So in 1998, he walks away. He's called it the most important decision of his life.
That took guts, leaving a 2-star job.
Massive guts. But he backed himself. And with his father-in-law, Chris Hutchison, providing the financial backing.
And taking some key staff from Aubergine with him.
He opens Restaurant Gordon Ramsay in Chelsea. His name, his vision.
The flagship. And it didn't take long for the ultimate recognition, did it?
Nope. 2001. 3 Michelin stars. Incredible achievement.
And making him the first ever Scottish chef to get 3 stars. History made.
Monumental. And that was just the beginning of the empire, really.
From there, things really took off. Petrus opened, Gordon Ramsay at Claridge's.
Then international expansion. Dubai, Tokyo. The brand was going global.
He moved into the U.S. market, too. Restaurants in New York, L.A., the London hotels.
Yeah, some of those U.S. ventures had ups and downs, openings and closings later on, but it showed the scale of his ambition.
Even a brief stint in Canada, in Montreal.
Right, Laurier Gordon Ramsay. Didn't last long under his name, but again, shows he was looking everywhere.
And the awards just kept rolling in.
Yeah.
Alongside the expansion.
Oh, yeah. Restaurant Gordon Ramsay named top restaurant in the U.K. by Zagat in 2001, then the OBE in 2006.
Officer of the Order of the British Empire. Huge honor.
Plus, multiple Katie Awards, the Oscars of the UK hospitality industry. Newcomer, Chef of the Year, Independent Restaurateur. He swept them over the years.
Named most influential person in UK hospitality in 2006 as well.
Yeah.
And inducted into the Culinary Hall of Fame later on.
It's an incredible list of accolades. And he even finds time for slightly quirkier records.
Like the Guinness World Records. Fastest fish filleter.
Yep. And longest pasta sheet rolled in a minute. Shows that competitive side again.
And more recently, the giant beef Wellington with Nick DiGiovanni. Over 25 kilos.
Amazing. It's like he never stops competing, even if it's just against a clock or a record book.
You know, hearing about all this growth and success is incredible. And if you listening are finding this story as captivating as we are, this might be a good moment to hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, definitely. We do these deep dives regularly on Tell Me More Stories Told as podcast, so subscribe and you won't miss the next fascinating life story we explore.
Okay, so behind all the stars in the restaurants, there's the business structure, right? Gordon Ramsay Holdings Limited.
Set up back in '97 with his father-in-law, Chris Hutchison. That was the engine room for a lot of this.
They branched out from just fine dining, too, into gastropubs in London for a while.
Yeah, though they sold some of those off later. And there were some notable departures of chefs who worked under him.
Right. Marcus Waring, Jason Atherton. Talented guys who went on to build their own successful careers. Sometimes those partnerships shift.
For sure. And the partnership with his father-in-law, Hutchison, that ended quite dramatically and very publicly.
Yeah, that involved lawsuits and even hacking allegations later on. Shows the complexities when business and family mix, I guess.
Definitely adds another layer to the story. But Ramsay kept pushing forward with new concepts.
Like the Fat Cow, which closed, but then the expansion of Gordon Ramsay Steak, Gordon Ramsay Burger.
And the more casual spot, street pizza, street burger, adapting to different parts of the market.
He partnered with David Beckham for Union Street Cafe at one point too, right? Though that location is now Street Pizza.
Yeah, lots of evolution. Then setting up Gordon Ramsay North America with Lion Capital, signaling big plans for the U.S. again.
Though, like everyone, the pandemic must have thrown a spanner in the works. He faced criticism for layoffs then.
Tough times for the whole industry. But he's also diversified beyond restaurants, launching his own wine brand, opening a cookery school, the Gordon Ramsay Academy.
And still expanding globally. Macau, the Philippines coming soon. The empire keeps growing.
It really does. But okay, restaurants are one thing. The thing that made him a household name globally, that was television.
Oh, absolutely. It started with those fly-on-the-wall documentaries, didn't it? Boiling Point.
Boiling Point and beyond Boiling Point. Raw, intense, unfiltered Ramsay in his kitchen. People hadn't really seen that before.
And faking it. Where he trained a burger flipper. That won a BAFTA.
Yeah, showed he could mentor, too, in his own unique way. Those set the scene. Then came the big UK hits.
Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares and the UK Hell's Kitchen. Massive successes.
And then he took those formats to America, and wow.
That's when things exploded, right?
Yeah.
U.S. Hell's Kitchen, U.S. Kitchen Nightmares. His personality just clicked, or maybe clashed, perfectly with American TV.
The swearing, the temper, the relentless standards. It was captivating television, addictive even.
And the shows just kept coming. The F word, MasterChef, MasterChef Junior.
Hotel Hell, 24 Hours to Hell and Back. He became this huge TV powerhouse, producing shows as well as starring in them.
Popping up everywhere, too. Guest spots on Top Gear, The Simpsons, even voicing a character in a Disney cartoon.
He became a proper pop culture icon. And that TV persona, the fiery, demanding chef is, well, it's his brand now.
Totally linked. That image of the perfectionist, the guy who won't tolerate anything less than the best, always aiming for those Michelin stars.
And it led to some famous clashes, like kicking out the food critic A.A. Gill. He doesn't back down.
He says his style comes from his mentors, White, Savoy, even Hutchison. It's that high-pressure, high-stakes environment.
And you know, it's weird because he often makes fun of the French on TV. But he speaks fluent French and employs loads of French staff. It's part of the persona, maybe?
Must be. And credit where it's due, he appointed Claire Smith as head chef at his 3-star flagship. First woman to hold that role there.
That's significant. Shows a recognition of talent above all else, though he has faced flack for the language on TV sometime.
Yeah, and that spat with the Australian journalist Tracy Grimshaw got pretty ugly. He did apologize later.
But then you see him on MasterChef Junior, and he's completely different with the kids. Patient, encouraging.
It's like two different Gordons, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shows there's more complexity there.
Definitely. And his views have evolved, too. Like, on veganism, he used to mock it relentlessly.
I remember that.
But now his restaurants offer vegan menus. He's adapted, which is smart business, too, of course.
True. Okay, let's touch on his personal life a bit. Married Tana Hutchison back in '96.
Yeah, and they have a big family now, 6 kids.
Wow, 6. Must keep them busy. They split their time between LA and London, right?
Seems so. Balancing the U.S. TV career and the London base.
Okay.
And we mentioned his father-in-law was heavily involved in the business side for years.
He also seems to love Cornwall. Owns a few places down there.
Yeah, gets some local stick sometimes, but clearly has an affection for the place. And he loves his cars, Ferraris especially.
Nice hobby if you can get it. But he does a lot for charity, too, which is important to mention.
Definitely. Supports the Scottish Spina Bifida Association, VSO, UNICEF through Soccer Aid. Uses his profile for good causes.
He's also had a couple of serious scares recently. Nearly drowned filming in Iceland once.
And that really bad cycling accident just recently, in June 2024, he was quite shaken by that, spoke a lot about wearing a helmet.
Yeah, puts things in perspective, I imagine. Life outside the kitchen pressure cooker.
For sure. There have been other bumps, like the controversy over using pre-prepared food in some pubs, which he defended as standard practice.
And those comments about Cornish people that caused a stir, though he said it was meant jokingly.
Seems his bluntness isn't just reserved for chefs. And circling back, he's still a big football fan. Rangers, Chelsea.
Plus, baseball in the U.S., Formula One. Still got that sporting interest.
And on top of everything else, he writes books, loads of cookbooks, his autobiography, Humble Pie, even a column for the Times.
The man does not stop. Truly multifaceted.
Incredible energy. His bibliography alone is pretty extensive.
So, wrapping this up, what's the big picture here? Gordon Ramsay's story. It's just phenomenal, isn't it? Drive, talent, adapting. From that football pitch to global kitchens.
It really is a story of relentless ambition, achieving the absolute highest standards, but also navigating controversy and the pressures of massive fame. It gives you a real look inside that high-stakes culinary world.
And that sliding doors moment.
It is.
The knee injury changing his whole path from football to food. It's just a powerful reminder, isn't it? How unexpected changes can lead you somewhere extraordinary.
Absolutely. And maybe think about this. In a world often obsessed with, projecting perfection, Ramsay's kind of embraced his flaws, his temper, his directness, and somehow that's become part of his success, part of his maybe intense but relatable appeal.
That's a great point. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? About the power of just being authentically yourself, maybe even the imperfect parts, in whatever you're pursuing. Something to chew on.